Assalamu alaikum, sir. When person is on journey and he leads the congregational prayer, all the people behind him who are not on journey have to stand up at the end to complete their prayers. Is it advisable in such situation that such a person should not lead the prayer and it should be led by someone who is not on journey?
When the person is on journey and he leads the prayer, then those people who are not on journey, they have to stand up and complete the prayer. She says that is it not advisable that such a person on journey should normally not be leading the prayer?
Normally it's right, but sometimes the people, the more local people themselves desire that the person on journey must lead, or they will be deprived of that imamat. For instance, when I go out, there was a time when I decided not to lead, but people protested against, and they said, no, we'll say our prayer afterwards, do please. So this is the custom, particularly in the case of Khalifa. But as far as the Murabbiyan are concerned, sometimes it happens with them as well. People out of deep respect for them and of their knowledge of the Quran, which they don't have as much as they have, they ask them to lead. So that also is a question. The person who leads must have a higher knowledge of the Quran than those who are led. Whenever this happens, it's quite right, I think, that the local people should demand from the visitor to lead them, and it is often done in Ahmediyya.
This is another question from Morocco.
You see, before the question, I think I propose that Imam Sahib has just returned from Kababir, and he may like to narrate what he saw there and how things were going on. And also, his wife accompanied him, and he can share the wife's memories of Kababir, and the people there would love to hear from them. No? Please.
Sir, by the grace of Allah, I was able to visit the Jamaat in Kababir and participate in their annual gathering, Jalsa Salana. And it started on Friday after the Jummah prayer, and Alhamdulillah it was attended by more or less 400 people, men and women, and including among them were some who are not yet Ahmadis. They came from various areas, and they all participated in the meeting. And Alhamdulillah, the speeches were very scholarly, and there was a special question-answer session.
How many speeches?
About 6 speeches roughly.
Who were the speakers?
One was Amir of Jamaat, Al-Ustaz Muhammad Sharif Ode. Then Ustad طاہر Hani was there. Dr. Majid was there. Mustafa Sabisa was there. And myself, I also delivered a speech. And in the evening there was a question-answer session in which they asked questions, and Alhamdulillah, a panel of scholars from the Jamaat, they answered their questions.
Who were they?
One was Falahuddin Ode, and other was Tahir Hani, and third was Mustafa Sabitza. This was attended by a quite large number of non-Ahmadis, and our young people, they were also present, and occasionally they also participated in answering the questions. And another thing I remember is that on the lady side as well, Alhamdulillah, there was very good attendance. And 1 week after the Jalsa, they also held their Ijtima, Lajnah Ijtima, and that was attended by more than 200 ladies. And it was told that, I was told that this is larger than last year, Alhamdulillah. Khudam al-Ahmadiyya also held their...
And your wife addressed?
Yes, my wife addressed, she was requested to say something, and particularly they wanted to find out what instructions are given by Huzur from time to time to the ladies here. And my wife, she spoke in Arabic and conveyed those instructions, and they all mentioned that these are very good points for us to follow here as well. On the second day of the Jalsa, Khudam al-Ahmadiyya also held their ijtima, and that was divided into two parts. One was their session of speeches and academic competitions in the morning. In the afternoon, they held their sports outside in the ground of Madrasa Ahmadiyya, which is very close to the mosque. There was competitions between Khudam and Khudam and Atfal, and it was all very enjoyable afternoon, and they all competed with that. Then during this visit, I was able to visit one Ahmadi Jamaat which is in Tul al-Karam.
How far?
It's about 1.5 hour journey from Haifa, and it is alhamdulillah a Jamaat established only last year. Total number is about 25, and 8 or 9 men were present in the meeting which I attended, and it was very informal meeting. They wanted to find out some answers to their questions or queries and how they should do the tabligh. Some of them they mentioned about their tabligh activities, like presenting the books to the libraries and meeting other people. And alhamdulillah, they are very keen and very dedicated and full of this spirit of conveying the message of Islam to the people. And I also had the opportunity of visiting Gaza. There was also some Ahmadis. Yes, I went to, yeah. And there was also one day long sitting with one Ahmadi who is a member of the Jamaat for a long time, and there were some others very close, and they all...
Gaza is quite scholarly.
Yes, that's right. Abu Sardana.
Abu Sardana is the same?
He is the same person, yes.
He is all right? He's
Alhamdulillah.
fast?
Yes, yes. And in his house he has made one room as the guest room, and along with that a small prayer room like a masjid. And in that area he has, alhamdulillah, displayed the photographs of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam and the Khulafa and other. And he occasionally invites people for discussions. So when we went there, he also invited some people, and we had a long discussion with them. One non-Ahmadi particularly wanted to find out that when we say that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam went to Kashmir, what is the proof of that historically? So alhamdulillah, some very precise reference were given to him, and he said, this is quite clear to me, and inshallah I will investigate further. Then Huzur, I was also taken by very kind courtesy and hospitality of the Jamaat to various historical places like the Al-Buhaira Tabriya. Along with that, various happenings related with Hazrat Isa alayhi salam took place. I was also taken to this Al-Khalil, Hebron, and also Bethlehem, the birthplace of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam.
Impressions of those Al-Khalil and Bethlehem?
We had the opportunity.
Bethlehem, where he was crucified.
He was born.
He was born. Bethlehem,
yes,
that's
yes.
right.
And then later on, we also visited Jerusalem, the place where he was crucified and where he was put into sepulchre.
You have seen that place?
Yes, I have
where
seen.
he was crucified?
Yes. According to what they told us,
Yes,
that this is the place.
Yes.
There was a mass going on there at that time, so they explained that this is exactly the place where he was put on the cross. And then nearby there was another place where his body was put on a sort of a small platform for wrapped or ointment or treatment, and then it was taken to another room nearby, sepulchre which they call, and he was kept there. They say there is a stone exactly on which he put his head when he was put there. So there are a lot of visitors there, especially in those days. Then we also went to the
Who has the command of all these areas?
Jews. There are three sections of the city. One is the Jewish area, one is Christian area, one is Muslim. These are under Christian control.
The Christian?
Yes. And the Jews are there on the Wailing Wall. And that was also hundreds of people were there and I was told that throughout the day and night there are some people who go there, they pray there, they shook their heads and also strike against the wall and put their prayers into small places in between the bricks and put it there, and they say that whosoever is fortunate to put his wish and desire into there, as if it is accepted. We also had the opportunity of looking at the some of the remains of the Haikal Suleimani. In one corner these signs were there, Masjid Aqsa was there, the Dome of Rock I was also able to see there, and then all the other parts of the city were also seen. And a few days before my return, they took us to see the Al-Bahr al-Mayyat, the Dead Sea. That is also a very important experience, because before going there we went to see Qumran, the actual cave from which the documents were found. Although I could not go there, but I could see it from very nearby, very close. It is open and they have got all the details which they say, and they show the video as well describing how it was discovered, and all these things are there. Then there is a Mount of Temptation, where according to them Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was tried by Satan twice, and there also they have a stone on which they say he actually sat. So people go there and see that.
That's also on the Christian area.
On the Christian area, yes. On the Dead Sea, the experience was that this is a sea in which the water is very heavy because of salt and other minerals, and nobody drowns there, because when you walk in, you always remain on the surface. Yes, and I don't know how to swim, but when I went there and they said,
you tried this?
Yes, I tried. Yes, and it was quite successful.
How?
You ran in the water. I just walked into the water, and they said, "Don't fear, you won't drown." So you just, lift your legs, and you just become floating on that, and that is exactly what happened. I was very suspicious, and because I don't know how to swim, but it was like that.
Did Jesus Christ walk on the Dead Sea surface?
There is no mention of that here. Yeah. So that was a very thing, and the water is described to be very useful for skin problems because of these minerals. And one thing very
strange, people go there and wash their skin.
Especially they go it for this purpose, because the water is very good. And one thing I say, came to know very interesting was that previously it used to be a very long sea, but later on, just in the middle of the sea, there emerged the dry piece of land, and now this whole sea has been divided into two parts, and there are so many chemical factories on the Jordan side and also on Israel side to take out these minerals from this water. But when the second part of the sea was separated from the first one, there was a problem how to function the factories. So then they made a special canal to link the upper sea with the lower sea. So now the water in both the parts is of the same quality, and the factories are working there. So these things, and also
the one is under Jordan command.
Half of it.
Half of it, yes.
Yes. Just in the middle they have divided the ownership right on the
southern half is under Jordan
the eastern
command.
side.
Eastern side.
Yes, yes. Eastern side to the Jordan, and the western to that. There are also to the lower tip of this Al-Bahr al-Mayyat, the Dead Sea, there was the mountain of Sodom, the two townships where the people of Lot were destroyed and the townships were destroyed. So there are of course no signs of that, but they say this is the mountain on which these two townships were there, and they have been destroyed now.
In Bahr al-Mayyat?
No, just by the side of them. By the side, the mountain, and there are two. And also there is a famous Jewish place called Masada. There the Jews, it is reported that when they were being captured by perhaps a Roman ruler, so when they thought that they are going to be captured and killed, then they killed themselves in their just to protect suicide. But they respect it very much, and they say this is
how many committed suicide?
Exactly, Zura, I don't know the number, but in large number. And they take there some of the officials and others people that this is a place where they defended their honor in a way, and they say this is something very important.
So according to the Jewish religion, suicide is permissible?
It should not be, but I think they somehow...
I don't think so.
Yes.
And you've seen quite a few things, mashallah, in a short period.
Alhamdulillah, the Jamaat was, mashallah, very, very kind, very hospitable, very loving. They also made me speak Arabic because there it was impossible for me to speak English, and I had to try my broken Arabic.
Mashallah. Now you're trying to translate, eh? Now, do the Christians prostrate before the monuments of Jesus' birth and crucifixion and what happened afterwards?
Yes, very much so.
They prostrate.
Almost they kiss it and put their forehead as well some time and touch it with their hands.
Right.
Yes. In Bethlehem particularly, I saw that the place where they say that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was born here, they fall down in prostration.
Always prostrate.
Yes, I have seen many people.